Well, Charles Chaw is the director of China Knowledge Consulting, and he joins us now to discuss Sino-U.S. ties. Charles, how surprising is it for you to hear these comments from President Bush singling out Taiwan as an example that China should follow?
It came as a surprise when he made comment on Taiwan democracy and freedom of religion. Taiwan, as you know, as we all know, that has been a very sensitive issue to China. And Bush comment is going to chill his reception in China, because early on, this year alone, we see that the China has quite good collaboration. There's a joint military exercise with US after Russia, and there are also Snow who came and talked to China, and the certain issues were resolved. And trade ministers talk, and then they have some positive results from that. But comment like that is definitely going to be quite uncomfortable to the top officials, of course, President Hu of China.
Now, coming ahead of his summit with President Hu, these comments from President Bush surely make things a bit more difficult. But at the same time, there are other issues that are of contention between China and the U.S. For example, trade between both countries. It took them a long time to sort out the textile exports issue. You've also got the UN. The U.S. is continuing to put pressure on China to revalue upwards the renminbi in China. And then you've got the issue of North Korea as well, that the U.S. wants China to take more of an effort in getting North Korea to end its nuclear program.
Let me tell you these three issues. Talk about textile. China had given and contract signed to up till 2007. 2005, after 15 years of waiting, China has the access to the free market. And US came back to them and says, no, we need to restrict, and we need to impose quota. Now it has been resolved, China gave in. And then look at North Korea, China played a big role. And even President Hu has to pay a visit to North Korea to have the last talk. I think there's a closer talk, and I think there's going to have very positive results from there on the nuclear talk. Yeah. And, sorry.
Is there any suspicion or difficulty between China and the U.S. with Japan trying to have a closer relationship with the United States?
What President Bush approach in this diplomatic relationship is not such a friendly one, because China would view American not very sincere, because the one China policy is been repeated many times. And I'm sure the officials, President Hu Jintao, will not want to hear any comments on Taiwan. It's such a sensitive thing. What China has been wanting is China be returned to China.
Do you think that President Bush will be able to achieve anything of substance when he meets with President Hu Jintao, or is this just more like a nice friendly handshake and some FaceTime together?
It came as a surprise, and it really puzzled many officials, both in China and United States. The comment was not a friendly one, and it might chill his reception in this coming Sunday trip to China.
Okay, let's talk about the issue of Japan, because that's another sort of interesting story. China-Japan relations right now are not very good at the moment, you could say. There are some strains there. And with Japan and the U.S., there are also issues that they're trying to hammer out, like moving military bases in Okinawa, for example. How do these three countries and their relationship affect the balance of power in Asia?
Okay, and Japan is, of course, very important to U.S. Likewise, what's most important, of U.S. intention of Japan and U.S. relationship is military presence. And so far, you look at Koizumi, have supported, the war in Iraq, and unconditional support in other issues like tsunami and so on and so forth. All right. And Japan, you look at the history for 40, 50 years, though they are the strongest economy in Asia, you don't see very close allies of Japan. Look at South Korea. Look at first North Korea, and other parts of Asia. So Japan need a powerful ally like the United States.
But does it make the security situation in Asia a bit more tense, perhaps, if Japan doesn't have as many allies as you're saying it doesn't?
I think it's Americans and the Japanese are feel very tense. And look at the recent development of China. Look at the influence and impact they brought to Indochina. Excellent relationship with Vietnam, Cambodia, Myanmar, and then even Southeast Asia. Fantastic relationship with South Korea, even North Korea. And then they're spreading out with Russia, maybe Eastern Europe. I think it is the two countries' insecurity over China influence.
From a Chinese perspective then, or from Beijing's perspective, what do they want to see coming out of President Bush and Washington policy?
Early on, we see that Snow and Treasury, the trade security, we talk about trade, talk about yuan revaluation. Now, these issues are more or less resolved, though not to not to the expectation of Americans, but things has been, the Chinese has have given, and things are improving. So I think really get things done and to deal with China is do something with Taiwan. Yeah, that's the main issue. And if Taiwan is returned to China, I think many issues can be resolved. I think that's the style of a Chinese government. If this is compromised, anything can be discussed.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us today with your analysis. That was Charles Chaw with China Knowledge Consulting.